Hi, we're gonna learn to purl today. So I'm gonna purl in both styles, both English and Continental, and we're gonna see how that goes. So we're gonna start with English. Now, this is the same swatch that I was using to knit, and I've purled a few rounds, and you're like, well, what's the big difference? Well, there is almost no difference. You can just tell right here, right there above my finger, where I swapped. It's easier on the other side to tell, because here you can see that I've got 2 rows of knitting in a row. This here technically is 2 rows of purling. Purling is just knitting in reverse. So when you purl row after row after row, you get the same effect as knitting row after row after row. So you're like, well, why do we need to learn to purl? Well, because you need to be able to combine knit stitches and purl stitches on the same side of the work. So, but first we need to become comfortable with purling. I find purling awkward. I try to avoid it anytime I can. But you can't really avoid it most of the time unless you're doing color work. So the first thing that you need to know is that for purling, you need to have your yarn in front. All right. For knitting, you always have your yarn in the back of the work. For purling, you need to have your yarn in the front of the work. And remember, for knitting, you go in on the far side and you pierce through the stitch, right? For purling, you're going to go the other way and you're going to be in front of the needle. So instead of going on the other side and behind, you're going to go in front. So you go from the close side in front like that. If you're doing it English style, here, I'll put this in my right hand where it should be, then you're gonna wrap this around the needle like that from back to front, and then you're gonna pull this through the loop. So you're gonna wanna hold the yarn with your needle, pull it through, and then pull it off. So it's the same concept. You stab it, you strangle it, you rip out the guts toward the back, and then you throw it off a cliff, okay? So, in like that. Ooh, this is awkward for me. I never purl this way. You wrap the yarn, you bring it back through, stab it, strangle it, ooh, there we go. Pull out the guts and throw it off a cliff. All right, so that's 4 purl stitches. And you can tell the purl stitches because where we saw little V's at the bottoms of the knit stitches, you see little bumps here. So those are stitches you've made as purls.